the North Korean officer who reportedly has defected. Plus, John Kerry called it a gut-wrenching reminder to get rid of nuclear weapons. That's as the US Secretary of State visited Hiroshima. And after a wait of 100 years, finally some good news on tigers. We're going to be in India. It's all coming up on Outside Source. Find us on Twitter at BBCOS.
Hello, I'm Jerry Smith with the BBC News. China has unveiled an ambitious plan to become a world football superpower by 2050. President Xi Jinping has previously said he wants the men's national team to qualify for another World Cup, host a World Cup and win a World Cup. Here's our East Asia editor, Celia Hatton.
China's new national football plan carefully maps out the country's quest to dominate the sport. In the short term, more than 60,000 football grounds will be built or renovated in the next 6 years to encourage greater numbers to play football. Local teams will be established in 100 Chinese cities. By 2050, the report states, China should have world-class men's and women's football teams. In the meantime, Chinese Super League teams have spent more than $360 million this year acquiring new players, most of them foreign.
The US Secretary of State John Kerry has said he's deeply moved by his visit to the museum and memorial for the world's first nuclear attack in the Japanese city of Hiroshima. He said he would never forget the images, evidence and recreation of the result of the atomic bomb, which was dropped by an American plane at the end of the Second World War.
It is a stunning display. It is a gut-wrenching display. It tugs at all of your sensibilities as a human being. It reminds everybody of the extraordinary complexity of choices in war and of what war does to people, to communities, countries, to the world.
South Korea says a high-ranking North Korean military officer has defected. The Defense Ministry in Seoul said he was a colonel who worked in a bureau which carried out spying operations against the South. A BBC correspondent says the officer would be likely to have valuable knowledge about the workings of the regime in Pyongyang. A ceasefire to end a year of fighting in Yemen has got off to a shaky start. Residents in the city of Taiz said fighting intensified after the ceasefire was supposed to have begun. There were also reports of fighting elsewhere. The troops appear to be holding in the capital, Sana'a, where these residents had mixed feelings.
The ceasefire will depend on the intentions of the parties, on whether they have love for the country and whether their intentions are good and are in the interest of the people in view of their suffering now and over the last year.
The truth is, I'm not optimistic, and these are all political manoeuvrings so they can achieve their own goals, which aren't defined.
More than 6,000 people have died in Yemen during the war. 2 million people have been displaced by the conflict. Police in Russia say a suicide bomber has attacked a police station in the southern Stavropol region. The bomber died in the explosion and 2 other attackers were killed by police. World news from the BBC. An emergency train carrying more than 500,000 litres of drinking water is expected to reach a drought-stricken region of western India on Monday. It's the first of a series of so-called water trains.
Hey guys, just want to say hello and good morning, and I hope, Trinidad and Tobago, good to have you with us. I should turn the volume down on my Periscope. Huh? Okay, we have Celia and Ben here. We're going to talk about football, we're going to talk about golf. Even if you're not into sport, you're going to love these stories, so stay with me for them. And then we're going to get into some of the other headlines that are on the bulletins. Hearing about tigers right now, that's coming up a little later. So let's see, where else we go? We've got Bali checking in, Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Great to have you with us. How are the weekends? I hope it was all good. Anyway, I'm going to pop the bulletin back in so you can hear it, and then the programme.
For 100 years, so it's definitely a good moment to be pleased.
Thousands of jute workers in southwest Bangladesh have blocked roads and disrupted rail services in fresh protests over their wages. 7 state-owned jute mills in the Khulna region have been forced to close because of industrial action. The workers' demands include higher pay and a settlement on claims for money they say they're already owed. A former Somali journalist who helped the Islamist group Al-Shabaab kill fellow reporter